We're KC 101, your hometown country station, and we have a very special guest in our studio, 95-year-old Glen Campbell, joining us here from Tioga County, not the singer. Probably everyone confuses you with the singer. Well, hello, Glen.
How you doing?
I am wonderful. Thank you so much for coming by our studio.
Oh, it's my pleasure, sure.
Well, I want to learn all about your life and what it was like living in Tioga County when you were born. What year were you born, by the way, Glen?
1926,
You were born in 1926.
July the 17th,
And where in Tioga County were you born?
on the north side of Darling Run, in what they call the old Governor Stone Farm.
So Governor Stone, a lot of people don't realize this, but Wellsboro had a governor of Pennsylvania came from Wellsboro, Governor Stone. You grew up on his farm when you were very young.
I don't know too much about him. All I know he had a farm here and he lived here at one time.
And so tell me about your early childhood memories when you were born here.
Well, I always say I was born at an early age.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
a joke. And I lived in Darling Run, and then we moved to Aunt Sonia when I was about 5, and we lived in the old store that was on the railroad tracks at that time. And my dad's uncle and aunt operated the store. And then later on, we moved over to what they call the Y. It was on the railroad to go to Gelton, and my dad worked for the Pennsylvania Railroad at that time. And he worked 6 days a week and walked track on Sunday down to Tioga and back. And then we lived there for a while, and then they just all bought all brand new furniture, and about 2 or 3 weeks later the house burnt down, the stove blowed up, and then we moved over to what they call they call it the old Roti house then, right across from the railroad station. And we lived there for a while, and then later we moved down what they call the Campbell house. I didn't know at the time, but Anson, I think his name was Anson, or anyway, he was Campbell, and anyway, they named Aunt Sonia after him, the way I understood. He added on to it, and then we lived there for a while, and then in the 30s we moved up to Dance Run. Then from there we moved over to Canton. I lived in Canton a couple of years, and then we moved right back to Tioga County again, and Tioga County's been my home pretty much.
You moved all over the place. So how much stuff did you, back in your earlier days moving, you didn't need a big moving truck, I'm guessing. Times are simpler. You probably just threw it all in a small truck and moved.
Yeah, they just put it in whatever you could haul it in at that time. And I don't really remember too much how we moved from one place to the other.
It just happened a lot. Seems like a lot of moving.
Yeah, it happened quite a few times.
Do you remember your first home that you bought on your own, and how much was your first house?
I never really owned a home. Well, I did in a way. Hills Creek Lake Road, or Hills Creek Road there, by Bob Sampson's. My daughter and son-in-law, Ron Rice, lived there, and then they moved up on the 660 there, Badine Farm, and they farmed it up there. And then from there I was on trucking over the road, and I moved back and stayed with them for a while, and my wife. I was married 45 years, and then she passed away in 89. And luckily, I shouldn't say probably, but a year and a half later, I met Betty Cross through a friend. Her husband had died a year before my wife did, and we seemed to hit it right off, so we was together 27 and a half years, and she got sick, and she died 3 years ago, December the 28th. And I've been pretty much single then, and I decided I think 2 times in a row is enough to have be tied down. Even though I do have 2 friends, and one is Nina McCarthy. I take her places because she's kind of have problems, health to a certain extent. So I try to help her out as much as I can.
Yeah, that's good to help people out. So tell me about what was your first job, your first paying job?
Well, I worked, when I was 15, I worked on a farm for $1 a week. and then
$1 a week was your first job
yeah,
on a farm.
I was 15.
And was this you're 15 years old
Yeah.
and the whole day in the sun working?
And that's doing. And I stayed with my grandparents. They had a farm up on the Pine Creek Road. I stayed up there and went to school to Ansonia at the time, and I milked 3 cows morning and night by hand. Got up, took the milk to the separator. My grandparents, they farmed it for, I think it was 62 or 65 years, and they never sold anything commercial. It was always peddled door to door. I used to ride down in town with her in an old Model T Ford.
Uh-huh.
And my Uncle Bart in Campbell, he had a garage down where the health food store is next to the Harshes there. It used to be Harshes. And I used to ride in there colder than a son of a gun.
So you milked cows by hand, brought the milk into town, hand sold it when you were 15 years old.
Well, I come with my grandparent.
Oh, okay.
My grandmother, she sold buttermilk and butter and cottage cheese. I helped make all of that stuff.
And what time period are we talking here? Was this I don't know, before the Great Depression, or was just about the time this was coming into the Depression?
I was about 8, 9, 10 years old, right along in there. Mm-hmm. I stayed part-time with them, and instead of staying at home all the time, I helped on the farm in the summertime a lot. And the times I stayed there, went to school to Ansonia.
So you went to school in Ansonia?
Yeah.
How many were in your class?
Oh,
I mean, it was a little class, a single-room schoolhouse, or tell me about school.
It was Ansonia Schoolhouse, and there was 4 grades in one room. And
4 grades, 1 room in school. Wow.
And then 4
wood stove or coal stove in the room to keep you warm.
Yeah, Selena Cleveland, and she was a teacher, and I can remember her. She lived up on the Canyon Road there, 660, and the outhouse was right in the same building, and you just had to go out of the classroom or into the outhouse. And had a septic system. And
so when you were a kid, it was pretty much outhouses. There wasn't indoor plumbing. Was not.
Yeah, and I got a good start in school because I went to my brother got killed in the Navy when he was in first grade. They'd let kids go to school, sitting with their brothers or sisters. So I was always 1 grade ahead all the time, because when I was in the second grade, first grade, I was studying first grade and also studying second grade at the same time. And so I was always 1 grade ahead the first 4 grades still.
Because the other students that were in the room
it was all in one room. All the schooling was just, when the teacher got done with us, first grade, she'd teach the second grade, and then, of course, it was kind of a long story.
What would happen to kids that were bad in school? How did teachers discipline? Was it timeout, the dunce cap, or the paddle, strict. Or what happened then?
It was pretty strict, I'll tell you. It didn't hurt. It wasn't much of a chance. You didn't get slapped right side the face if you didn't shut up, which was a good thing, because some of those kids was a little bit unruly.
Well, it was a different time. I don't know that we could quite it would work today with the way things are, but back then the teacher would actually slap a kid to say this is...
Yeah, my brother got killed in the Navy there. He mouthed off one time to Selena Cleveland, and she took a yardstick and hit him across the hand or back of his fingers, broke his 1 finger. And people wanted to get my mother to have her fired and everything. Ma says, no, I know my kids, and if he needed it, he needed it.
Yeah.
He wouldn't do nothing,
Sure. We're talking here with Glen Campbell, grew up in Tioga County, 95 years old. We're going to be right back after this break, and we're going to talk some more about his life. Stick around on KC101.